firstly, how's the jet lag?
It doesn't really exist because I don't really know where I am at any one time, you know? So you sort of just have to imagine there's no clock. Mind that door. Yeah, you have to imagine there's no clock and just sort of just go with it. So like I was in Kansas, then I was in Monaco, then we were in Florence, then I went to LA for 12 hours and then flew to Sheffield. So like,
Come here because I saw you in LA.
yeah, no, I was only in LA for one night, unfortunately, which is a shame because it was absolutely beautiful. I have to say it was a bit nicer than out there today.
You can't really beat the British weather, is it?
Apparently.
All right, let's talk about Saturday night. Kell Brook back in action against Michael Zarafa. You know, really on paper, like you said, Zarafa should be an easy night's job for Brook. Was there any talk of for him fighting anyone a bit more higher level than Zarafa?
I mean, I think when you look at the likes of Amir fighting Vargas in his last fight, Zarafa's kind of ranked the same in the governing body. I think they're similar kind of guys. This is, you know, Kell Brook hasn't boxed since March, so he's been out of the ring for what, 9 months. Unfortunately, he's been out of the ring a lot, and this is a fight to put him forward to those big fights. It's a final eliminator for Jarrett Hurd, but also Kell now has his eye on 147 pounds because he'll probably weigh 150 tomorrow, which weren't even intentional. But when Kell Brook's focused and he's on it, it's a lot easier to make 147. But focused and on it are two things that Kell Brook hasn't particularly been in his career. And there's a lot of things that people don't know about Kell in terms of his discipline, his mindset, you know, in terms of a little bit of depression and also, you know, his luck. He ain't had everything his way. And that's probably why, you know, when people talk about the Golovkin fight, that wasn't an ideal scenario. But when you knew Kell Brook and when you knew that at any time he could combust or the career could be over, you've got to take chances like that. But if he would have had this mindset, we probably would have never taken that fight. But it's so refreshing to see him talking about 3 more years in the sport. Because whether that happens or not, that's his mindset. Which is, if I don't get Khan, I want Spence, I want Porter, I want Garcia, I want Jessie Vargas, I want these big fights at 147. And, you know, I think...
Was there any factors to blame externally apart from, like you just said, you don't know when Kell's career would finish? Because in truth, if we look at some of the names he could have faced, you know, he could have had an even better resume or even better.
The big kick in the nuts was obviously when he got injured, when he got attacked, and he beat Sean Porter. Right, he was extremely fresh. That was his coming out night, the big moment. He beat Sean Porter in LA, and then don't capitalise on it because he goes away. He ends up getting drunk. He gets attacked, and then that's him. You know, and his career should have been over that night. But he came back. Then he gets a mandatory against Jojo Dan, and then he goes to fight Diego Chavez, which was a good fight at the time. Gets an injury, rib injury, actually against David Avician, busted his rib, and then comes back and has to fight another mandatory in Kevin Bizier. So now everyone's like, oh, he's back. You know, and then after that, can't remember what happened after that. I think he got injured again. And then it was like the Golovkin. Oh, we were actually negotiating to fight Jessie Vargas in a unification fight. And the Golovkin fight came up, and he just said, you know what? Like, he was struggling to make the weight. His discipline wasn't good. He went, let's do it. Let's do the Golovkin fight. And, you know, like I said, if things would have been different, we wouldn't have fought Jojo Dan. We wouldn't have fought Kevin Bizier. But, you know, it's the past, and at least now I have a very focused Kell Brook and a fighter that wants to stay disciplined, stay on the weight. And by the way, ability-wise, there's very few I believe can beat him. I believe he's up there with Spence and Crawford and those guys, but he's got to prove it. And yeah, he can prove so much against Zarafa, but I want to see him demolish this guy inside 4 or 5 rounds, and then try and make the Khan fight. And if we can't, then make one of the other guys we spoke about.
We all sound like broken radios talking about Amir Khan, but do you think, because we saw Jarrett Hurd fight Jason Wilder, and in all due respect, he didn't look as good as in that fight that we thought he was. Would you recommend to Kell to take that fight rather at 154 because Khan's not?
I think if the right opportunities weren't there at 147, him being mandatory, he should take that fight. Jarrett Hurd's a big 154 pounder, and Kell's not. Kell's a small 154 pounder, small to medium. So it's a tough fight, and if he can make 147, I'd love to see him have another go there. But when after the Errol Spence fight, I said to him, you have to move up, because he was ballooning in between fights, and he'd be coming down from 12.5, 13 stone. taking 2 stone off in camp. Whereas now, he's walking around at 156, 158, 160 pounds, and then getting straight back into the gym. So, like, that's a sign for Kell Brook to be having a fight at 154 pounds and to be 154 pounds at the press conference. I can't tell you how unusual that is for Kell Brook. Like, normally he would be like, oh, I don't even want to discuss it on it. But, you know, like the Errol Spence fight. I mean, the weight that he took off for that fight. And you saw it in the fight. You know, he was winning the fight at the halfway stage. Was it a mixture of Spence being too good? Was it a mixture of Kell Brook's discipline, his weight making? Probably all of those things. But I would still love to see the rematch.
You spoke when I spoke to you in New York, you were talking about HEARN, obviously the Pacquiao thing and whatnot. And what's going on with this Crawford situation?
Well, I spoke to Aram, spoke to Amir. They've made an offer for him to fight Crawford. I'm not really having a lot to do with it because although he's got another fight with us under contract, I don't want him to fight Crawford. I want him to fight Kell Brook. So it's double the money and it's on paper an easier fight. And it's also
double the money to fight Crawford.
To fight Brook, right? So if you want double the money for an easier fight, and not just that, the fight that your people want you to have, that's the fight to take. And you can talk about, but it's for a world title and it's about. If you beat Brook, you're going to be fighting him anyway. Those kind of guys. Yeah. So look, it's frustrating, and I can't make it more. I can't give you more of an honest assessment other than I don't want him to fight Crawford. I want him to fight Kell Brook. I'm not saying it's a bad fight, and you can say, but it's for a world title. But people, do a poll in this country who you want to see him fight. Like 95-5, you know. So do you want to? And someone said, is it a case of if you lost to Crawford, it's not so bad, but if you lost to Brook, it's sort of more of a dent to legacy. If you don't fight Brook, that's enough of a dent to your legacy. Because you're always going to be reminded as the guy who didn't fight Kell Brook or didn't give the fans what they wanted.
Moving on, I saw a video. I know you get trolled a lot online. There's a video come out after Saturday night.
It's not going to happen, all that sort of, me going, I hold my hands up.
And it's when you were saying how Fury style was boring.
Yeah, but let me tell you one thing, which is a myth.
Okay.
Right? And this ain't going to be very popular. So I'll give you the good news first.
Okay.
I was wrong. Okay? I take my hat off to Tyson Fury. I'll give him unbelievable respect. I didn't even think he'd physically make the fight. Right? I had him winning the fight. This fight that you saw on Saturday really wasn't an all-time heavyweight classic. Okay?
Not even that 12th round?
No, that 12th round was unbelievable. Dramatic-wise, it was fantastic. But by the way, look at the punch stats. I think some rounds there was like 3 or 4 punches landed in rounds. It wasn't a classic at all. And Tyson Fury, I'm sorry, he doesn't have an entertaining style. But I give him unbelievable respect because he proved me wrong against Klitschko. He proved me wrong against Wilder. Right? But when you've got a guy chasing you down, trying to knock you out, generally it's a better fight than, if you're not facing that type of guy. I thought he won the fight. I thought 115, 111 was ridiculous. I think he should be the new world champion. I thought Wilder was dreadful, but can clearly punch very hard. And it makes the division even more interesting. I'll answer your next question for you. Joshua wants to fight for the undisputed heavyweight world championship, yeah? So if it wasn't about belts and it wasn't about undisputed and it wasn't about legacy and you put the 2 guys in front, I think he'd choose Fury because he wants to fight him. But the absolute aim is to become undisputed, to win every belt. That's what we'll try and do. That's what we're trying to do. We'd love to fight Fury. If that's not the case, maybe we'll fight Fury anyway. Maybe they rematch. So anything could happen. Maybe we fight Dillian White. Maybe we fight Usyk. Maybe Chisora knocks Dillian White out in 2 weeks. I don't know.
Well,
but
are them 2 wildcards, that's what I was going to ask. Are them 2 wildcards still involved? You were talking about?
Yeah, I mean, there's other options for us to take, but there's only really one. I say one. There was always one, and that was Wilder. There is now 2 because Joshua would certainly not be disappointed if it was the Fury fight next, and nor would the fans. If we don't get Wilder and we don't get Fury, we're going to be around for 6 or 7 years. But people want one of those guys next. I'm not an idiot. I know the memes and all whatever even they're called. I see them, I laugh at them, and I think, fucking hell, why did I say that? But I'll just give you the truth, my truthful assessment. I didn't think he'd win the fight, and physically, I didn't think he would be able to go through a camp to make that fight, and he proved me wrong on both accounts. And by the way, I thought he won the fight. So I give him credit and I give him respect. And by the way, I give Ben Davison credit and respect as well, because there's a guy who I didn't really think had it at the top level, and the bond that he's built with Fury and the trust as well is great. And I thought he was great in the corner, which I didn't think he would be. So
John Fuchs could replicate something similar.
yeah, I mean, you don't always have to have. I think you have to. I think if you were a top class fighter, I think it's going to help you as a coach. It's a bit like being a football manager. You have to be a top class footballer to be a top class football manager. Well, Jose Mourinho didn't really play football at a high level. So, but John Fuchs, I think it's a lot about motivating a fighter, clicking with a fighter, and that's obviously what Ben and Tyson have done. And good luck to them.
Lastly, before we finish off, just talking about the fight coming up in January, Manny Pacquiao facing Adrian Broner. Just want your thoughts on that.
That does nothing for me at all.
You know, I just wanted to see that.
I mean, let's do a meme, shall we? That can go. That's going to be the worst fight in the history. No, I don't think it'll be a bad fight because Pacquiao's entertaining, but it just doesn't
More
do it.
prediction-wise, I think.
Pacquiao wins on points. Just doesn't like Broner's kind of like. Listen, he's entertaining. He does numbers, but I don't know if it's just me. I've sort of lost track with Broner's career. Sort of think, oh yeah, he lost to Mikey Garcia. Oh blimey, he fought Sean Porter. Like, I don't know. He's just there's so much lack of desire to create a legacy and achievements in the sport that he sort of turns me off a little bit. I love his showmanship, but does he really then you've got guys like Mikey Garcia going completely other way, doing something stupid to try and achieve.
Hey Fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps. If you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you go ahead and do so by clicking this icon right here and hit the bell button so you can get notified every time we upload a new video. And we also have a free app available on iTunes and Google Play, so make sure you go and download that. Bye Fight fans.